everyone, Sadness here, back for another Egg Inc. video. Today we're going to be talking about Seasons, the newest feature for contracts. Before we talk about Seasons, I kind of want to go over the history of contracts, mainly to paint a picture for why Seasons kind of were necessary, but also why they're not that fun of an update. When contracts were first released in 2018, anywhere from 1 to 3 PE, new PE by the way, not legacies because there were none, new PE were released every week. And so the influx of PE was really good and it really helped get progress through the game. But of course this was unmaintainable. And in July of 2019, the devs switched to an every other week releasing one PE schedule, which was still really good. And frequently there'd still be back-to-back weeks where there was 2 PE. And then sometime in 2021, he switched to one new PE every 3 weeks, before in 2022 switching to one every 4 weeks, and then finally delivering the nail in the coffin and switching to one a month, which is slightly worse than once every 4 weeks. But let's be real, there's hundreds of PE in the game, so if the dev kept releasing them multiple times per week, the game would just be utterly not playable anymore, because there'd be thousands of PE, and ain't nobody got time to collect thousands of PE. It already takes 2 to 3 years to catch up. It would probably take forever to catch up. I don't know. If they just kept releasing more and more of them, new players would never have a chance to catch up. It already takes them years as it is. And so ultimately they settled on 12 new PE a year, which I think was a great rate for new PE. Aside from just slowing down the PE rate, there's been a number of other changes to contracts over the years. The first that I'll talk about is the introduction of lobbies. Before, when you clicked join contract, you would just go straight to the contract and get to start building your farm. Now you have to first join a lobby and then start the lobby, which on the surface seems like whatever, but really it's just kind of a small, tiny annoyance for casual players, but it's very helpful for speedrunners so that they can all be there together and start at the exact same time. So we're not going to knock the dev for that one. But then they got rid of solo contracts. Every single contract now has multiple people in it. And I'm not gonna lie, I really liked the occasional solo contract where I had to carry. I thought it was pretty fun to do it all myself. So I was a little sad to see solo contracts go. I was nowhere near as angry as I was when the dev introduced tokens. Contract tokens, I think, are the single worst feature in the game. They literally just serve to slow you down for no reason. You can still get infinite contract tokens by watching ads. It just takes an arbitrary time. And when I say arbitrary, I mean random, because you never know when an ad is going to give you a token and when it's not. And it really just makes it kind of tedious and boring and not fun to do contracts anymore. On your main farm, you don't need tokens or anything. You can just boost all you want. Thank God, if they added tokens to the regular farms, I don't know. That would be the worst thing in the world. Multi-stages would be dead, assuming that it resets per farm. And so on contracts, you need to gather all these tokens just to be able to play the contract, but just let me play the contract. In the old system, we had standard and elite, and it was 10 trillion% earnings bonus was the clear defined barrier between standard and elite players, and the developer got rid of them. Getting rid of the standard and elite system, all that really did was make it harder to carry new players through contracts. Players who would struggle to meet the goals on their own, they now are forced to get worse rewards and have less help. So I personally miss standard and elite, but that one's not the worst thing to get rid of, I guess. To replace the standard and elite, they added contract score and contract grades. Starting with contract scores, I know I bashed on tokens, but I think that tokens were just annoying as heck and completely purposeless. Whereas contract score, I think inherently undermines the values of the game or the reason why I started playing the game. I loved Egg Inc. because it was a purely cooperative game. There was no competing. You would all go into a co-op together to complete a contract, and it was just everybody helped out, and it didn't matter who did more than any other person until contract score was introduced. And they put leaderboards up as well. How are you going to make this pure, wholesome experience with no competitive nature to it into a competitive experience by adding leaderboards? And also, inside of a single, co-op group, you could be with all your friends and you are competing because whoever delivers the most is the one who's going to get the highest contract score. So you're incentivized not to help each other, even though overall you're still incentivized to help each other because the sooner you get the contract done together, the better score everyone will get. but you're still just incentivized to boost yourself first, you know, if you want to maximize your own contract score. When contract score was introduced, I legitimately almost stopped playing the game because it kind of just takes away that wholesome experience for me. And then, of course, there's the contract grades, which go from C to AAA, and AAA is basically elite, the old elite, whereas standard has been broken down to C through AA. And because of the fact that there's so much variation in the early game, it's like if you and your friend both start playing together and you don't perfectly balance your contract scores, at some point you're not going to be able to even play together. You're not going to be in the same grade. And then you're going to have to play with random people, and it's just not as fun when you're not playing with your friends. Then there was the change to legacies. So legacies are the reintroduction of old contracts for recirculation so that newer players can catch up on contracts that they didn't get to do when they first came out. And I think the schedule used to be 1 non-PE legacy on Wednesday and 2 PE legacies on Fridays. And then the developer decided to make that a paid feature. So now it's just 1 non-PE legacy on Wednesdays and 1 PE legacy on Fridays. And if you pay some money, you can do a second PE legacy on Fridays. I don't know the exact details, but that's like the ultra stuff. And this change also almost made me quit the game because I was like 5 PE away or something like really close to the maximum amount of PE right when they made the change where we no longer got 2 PE legacies every Friday. And the first like 5 ultra PE legacies that came out were the ones I needed, and I was so confident at that point that I would never get to max PE because there's nothing to stop the developer from making it so that there's like one set of PE that only circulates if you've paid for the ultra PEs. Time would tell that that's not what happened. I just had to wait a lot longer, but it was really frustrating when I was that close and then I had to play for an extra year to make up for the fact that I just I didn't pay for that feature. Now this next thing is a feature that I only ever got to take advantage of once, which is the piggy bank multiplier reward for contracts. When they took this out of the game, a lot of people were devastated because people had been like hoarding them. They like had their contract from a year ago or something still open in the completed state, waiting to collect the reward for the piggy bank multiplier. And that's because you would wait, you would get your piggy all the way as large as it would get, and then you'd take the piggy multiplier right when you were about to crack open your piggy bank, and it would multiply the size of your piggy, the biggest thing in the world. Like you'd already gotten it up to 1 billion GE, and then you multiply it by 2, and you have 2 billion GE. It made it too easy to get tons and tons of golden eggs, I guess, and so the developer took that reward out of the game. Now, the one time that I had a piggy multiplier, I didn't know how valuable it was, so I just collected it immediately like just any other reward. Whoops. I've been pretty harsh, but I want to say one change that I think was really good that they did for contracts, which is adding chicken runs. Now you can click on any one of your friends' farms and see their pretty shells and also give them a small, I think it's like 3% chicken population bonus. That's a great cooperative feature. Thanks, developer. And so now the newest feature is seasons, which continues the trend that I talked about at the start of limiting the amount of prophecy eggs that are released per year. It limits it extremely extensively because now we're only gonna get 4 a year. We were getting 12 a year when it was once a month, so this is 1/3 that rate, which is extremely, extremely small. But hey, at least old legacies are ineffective. Those aren't being converted into seasons, so new players will still have their influx of 1 PE per week in a legacy. So what exactly are seasons? It's like a set of 13 contracts where you get a cumulative score and work towards getting certain goals that give you rewards. Of course, the goals are based in your contract score because every single one of these new features that I talked about, I don't know if you noticed, but all were to promote you boosting on your contract farms. The first season though was winter 2025. And after I finished the first contract, I learned that you actually get your score regardless of whether or not you click on the little cyan scroll that indicates what your score was. And I also learned that you get 2 scrolls now, whereas before you only got 1 for your contract score. Now you get a second one, which just shows a little progress bar through the season rewards. And I think that's pretty cute. After my second season contract, I was able to get the first reward threshold of 50,000 GE, Contract 3 didn't give me that many points, but Contract 4 did, so I got up to past 100k total points for the season. And after the 5th contract, I was able to get the second reward, which was 2 legendary boost beacons, which is actually pretty nice, not gonna lie. Contract 6, I scored a double excellent, which got me pretty close to the next reward threshold for tickets. In Contract 7, I got a whopping 81,000 points in order to get the ticket reward, which meant that I was perfectly lined up to get the PE reward after another double excellent in Contract 8. Contract 9, the progress bar showed us only about halfway through the progress towards the Yeti. And the Yeti is just that little box that gives you artifacts and contracts. That's just what we call it because it looks like a Yeti. But after double excellence in both Contracts 10 and 11, and not much progress on the bar, I kind of realized that we probably weren't going to be getting the Yeti. And it didn't help that I flubbed Contract 12, and there was no way Contract 13 would make up for the difference on its own. So I didn't end up getting the Yeti for this contract season, but also I didn't want the Yeti. I don't care about the Yeti. All I wanted was the prophecy egg. So I was pretty happy with how the first ever season went for me. The spring 2025 season was much of the same, honestly, but with slightly different rewards, which is nice to see that they're going to change it a little bit every time. I got the first reward of Tachyon boosts after the first 2 contracts, and then a double excellent got me so close on Contract 3 to the 500k Piggy reward. So I ended up getting it with Contract 4, which is 1 ahead of where we got the second reward in the winter season. And then I got reward 3, which was some artifacts, immediately after in Contract 5. Contract 6 sucked, but 7, 8, and 9 were pretty good, and I got the PE reward after that. And then Contracts 10, 11, 12, and 13 got me pretty close, but not quite to the final reward. Which brings us to summer 2025, and kind of terminates my discussion of season contracts, but I wanted to show you all my strategies that I used that are pretty chill and relaxed in order to get the PE reward for each season. I have 2 generic strategies and I'm going to be showing them side by side, even though they only really differ in the boosting area. Now, lucky for us, I did intentionally start recording this video when I knew that a new contract was about to come out for us. Season supplies. Immediately what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on over and I'm going to load up my contract set that has a Tachyon deflector and a boost. Then I'm going to go ahead and max out all of my habs, max out my silos, and buy a couple of those things, the vehicles. Then I'm gonna max out my research. And yeah, so right now, all we're doing is waiting for token ads. And so this is the start of where the 2 strategies differ. In the strategy on the left, I'm going to go to sleep and sleep for 8 hours. And you get a new token on most contracts once per hour. In the new contracts at least. Some of them are faster. We always hope that they're faster, but they're often just once per hour. Sometimes I think they might even be slower. And on this contract, it is once per hour. Would you look at that? Max out the habs. And once I upgrade Graviton coupling to the 5th level, that is when I go ahead and actually go in and max each one of these guys. In the sleepy strategy, I went to sleep and I'm gonna wake up 8 hours later with tokens. In the not so sleepy strategy, I'm going to sit here with the phone just sitting there. We keep clicking on these ads and waiting for a token to appear. And we'll do that 4 times until we have 4 tokens basically. Oh, we got a boost token, yay! And we get to play whatever fun ad happens. And here comes the token. These guys down here can also bring tokens to you. So it's also exciting when they come by because you might just get a token. Nope, no luck though. Then after we have 4 tokens, I'll go ahead and equip my dilithium set and then activate 2 epic Tachyon prisms. And after activating, I'll go ahead and switch to my main IHR set. In the sleepy variation, I'll have slept for 8 hours, which means I'll have 8 tokens. And even though it'll have taken me a lot longer to get the tokens, we're going to use 1 legendary Tachyon prism and 1 epic boost beacon. And that's gonna get our habs filled extremely quickly so that it kind of amounts to the same amount of time either way, because it's like either you sleep for 8 hours and then you instantly fill them up, or you spend a few hours getting tokens and then it takes like 5 hours for your habs to fully fill up after that. So after equipping the main IHR set though, you'll X out of the app. And if you're using the fast strat, you'll just wait 10 to 15 minutes One extra difference between the 8 token strat and the 4 token strat is that for the 8 token strat, you can just go straight to your gusset set, whereas in the 4 token set, you can only do that after like 3.5 hours of idling with your regular set in the background. And then you'll switch to your gusset set and do the rest of your idling there until it fills up. And then after our habitats are completely filled up, I'll go ahead and I'll go through here and activate the topmost contract set, and then check my shipping to see if it's filled. If it is filled, I'll go to the next one to see if it's still filled, and so on until I find the place where it's just barely not filled. And then after that, I just log in once every 12 hours until the contract's complete. And then after 10-ish weeks, it seems is gonna be the norm, you get a PE 4 times a year. Oh, yeah, I don't know, y'all. I'm not the happiest about this change, but I hope that you guys think it's more fun. But that's gonna be it for the seasons video, so I hope that you enjoyed this like tutorial of sorts. I don't know if this is a tutorial or more just like a walkthrough. There's a little bit of a tutorial at the end for like the simplest strategy just to get the PE for every season. But anyways, yeah, thanks so much for watching and hope to see you tomorrow for the next egging video. Bye bye bye, bye 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 bye, bye bye bye, bye bye bye.